All right, welcome back, everyone. Going a little bit later today for a live stream, but we got the one and only Alex Deacon, Pittsburgh broker, investor, also kind of my right hand man out there. He helping me on a lot of my deals I'm working on projects. So, Alex, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Hold on, let me there we go. Sorry, that was some back feed from my phone. But yeah, so I think this is going to be a good one. We're going to walk through some deals, even some stuff that are on the market, and how you analyze deals, right?
Yeah, it's what we're going to do today is I've done in a lot of my meetups. You want to call them seminars. We'd get 20, 30 people there, and we'd go. The best feedback I had was from the quick presentation we're going to do, and then just by looking at like what's on the MLS right now, it's it's extremely helpful for the average investor just to see what I'm looking at versus what they see. Because I can see things that they're going to miss because they don't have the experience level. And so this is a really good learning experience just by looking at what's out there, what's for sale, look at pictures, look at prices, look at rent amounts. It's really super helpful.
All right, perfect. So what do we got? What are we going to look at first?
All right, well. Remember, you're dealing with someone who's not very tech savvy, so we're going to try to share a screen here.
All right.
Select
And my first feed that came up on Instagram when I opened up today was welcome to Iceberg. So is it cold today in Pittsburgh?
it's typical. It's
Oh, really?
25, 30. It's not bad. I mean,
Fake news I'm getting in my stuff.
well,
Hold on.
8 days ago we had like 6 inches of snow, but it's
Ah,
almost all gone now. So are you able to see that?
yes, I can.
Okay. So we'll go to. I'm going to skip through a lot of these because some of them aren't really important. I don't want it's. I'm not going to be talking about myself the whole time, but I'm with Deacon Hoover Real Estate Services. Obviously, I'm Alex Deacon. I'm part owner of Deacon Hoover, and we help investors. And we're a garden variety basic real estate firm who can help a buyer or seller, right? And then I have Maze Property Management. This is old. We manage over 900 units now, so we can help with property management, of course. This whole presentation is a quick overview on how to analyze properties efficiently at home. You have to become really good at the ability to analyze a property very quickly, just because the market is saturated with other investors. Mark, you're from Hawaii. What are you doing buying here in Pittsburgh? I mean, that's a perfect example. We have investors buying from all over the globe coming here because it's affordable. Where you can't buy anything like this in Hawaii, it would be, I don't know, 4, 5, 10 times the price, and it doesn't make sense. And the barrier to entry is so much higher. Where you can buy a duplex here for 150, you only need 20 to 25% down. If you're spending a million, 20 to 25% down is significant. So it's very important to learn how to analyze properties very quickly. And there's no algorithm, there's no AI that really is going to help you do this. You're just going to have to get to learn the areas and immerse yourself in this whole this whole strategy and journey. All right, so how to analyze properties. Go to the next one. First of all, nothing can take the place of seeing a property firsthand. So if you're out of state, seeing it is going to be difficult. Walking through the neighborhood, so on and so forth. So we're going to go through just some pictures and things like that so you can see what I see. And you're going to have to use technology like Google Maps, and have your agent or your property manager, whoever's helping you, get a lot of good photos, a lot of good videos, because that's going to be extremely helpful. And then to protect yourself on the back end, when you do purchase something, obviously you're going to do some sort of home inspection, and that's going to reveal anything that may have been missed on pictures and video walkthroughs. If you want to invest in real estate, time is always the enemy. Just because when I see a good deal come on the market, um, I act really, really quickly. I mean, you have to act quickly. But the problem with not being experienced is acting quickly can get you into trouble. And sometimes people get that fear and they don't want to act quickly. So I do understand that. So that's why the best way to handle this is to make sure you are immersing yourself again in this market and getting to learn it. So now, as good deals come up, you can assess and analyze those very quickly, and you can see a good deal when you know it's a good deal, versus when you just first started, you're clueless. All you have is the eager and willingness to buy, but you really don't know what you're buying. If you become super efficient at analyzing properties from your home computer, you are already behind the eight ball. So you have to become really super efficient and hone in on an area. I think that's more important. If you just say, I want to buy in Western PA, you're not focused enough. You have to have a smaller target, and picking that target is a challenge in itself, because that's a question I get is, where are you buying? Where should I buy? It depends on so many different variables. But yeah, once you hone in on that target, you'll become more efficient at knowing what a good deal is in that specific area. What can help tremendously on assessing properties is detailed pictures, detailed room sizes. Room sizes are important. People don't think so, but for example, if you have a 3-bedroom house, you have 2 3-bedroom houses. One is 1,500 square feet. One is 1,100 square feet. The 3rd bedroom on the smaller house is 7 by 6 and doesn't have a closet. Yeah, it's a 3rd bedroom, but you're not going to get 3-bedroom pricing when you rent it out. So room sizes are important. Are there closets in the room? Are there windows in the room? Are there enough outlets in the room? Really important stuff. Description of the property, balance of any liens on the property. Why is the balance of any liens important? If you're buying something off market, before you waste a whole lot of time, you want to make sure that that owner doesn't have a second mortgage, back taxes, because I've spent countless hours going after a specific deal, and then you find out after you get everything signed and maybe even days before the closing that the owner has an IRS lien out there or has back taxes, and you can't even sell you the property. So if you're doing anything off market, just something to think about. Make sure that you do a little due diligence that that owner doesn't have any liens or mortgages that are going to affect him from being able to sell. Yeah, having all these would make the procedure much easier and accurate. In most cases, you get some of this information, but not all. The address, the asking price, back taxes, total of all liens. The address is important. Not only the address, but sometimes the lot and block. And that's so you know you're buying specifically what the owner is selling. Here, I'll give you a good example. It just happened to me recently is I was buying a small single family home, and I didn't realize that the lot next door went with it. Separate deeds, separate tax bill. But I missed that. And if I wouldn't have put that on the sales agreement or caught that before closing, I might have purchased this without purchasing the lot next door, which added a lot of value. So make sure you have the correct legal description, the correct address. That's important. You might not think so. You might overlook that, but especially when you're new, well, it almost happened to me, but when you're new, those little details can make a big impact. This is how most sellers see their house. They see it as a mansion. They think it's worth more than it is. It's just common. It's human nature. This is how most investors or buyers see that same property. Not as nice. They're going to come in with a low offer, so on and so forth. It looks great and the key is, and Mark can attest to this, we just had a property that he bought, we rehabbed it for him. I told him it should appraise for about 140 or 150. I think that's what I said, right, Mark?
Yep.
And the appraisal, after it was all done, we had a nice product. The appraisal came in at 120. I said, that's really low. And we could substantiate a much higher appraisal all day long with recent sales. But the appraiser didn't see it that way. So Mark pulled the loan. He went to another lender. This appraiser appraised it for 160, which is high, but higher the better when you're refinancing. So one appraisal, 120, the other appraisal, 160. That's 20% difference or 30% difference in appraisal value. So an appraisal is an opinion. So don't ever count on the appraisal coming in where you need it to be. It really depends on the appraiser.
Yeah, and kind of to your point too, you kind of touched on earlier, even like evaluating properties, you got to be efficient and kind of, quick to make an offer in a sense, right? If you find something on the market or even that you're interested in. So even like the refinance portion, right? So this was a new lender I was working with. I was giving them a chance, and there was this. I don't know if it would be red flags that kept popping up, but I could kind of get the feeling like this was going to be a lot of extra work for myself. So I quickly just made a decision at a certain point that, you know what, I'm just gonna stop this and go back to who I usually use. And it worked out. Like you said, the appraisal could have came in the same. It would have been fine, but luckily it did come in a lot higher. So it's also being able to make decisions quickly and pivot.
And why is it important to know? Like I talked to a buyer the other day. I said, well, how are you going to finance this? He goes, well, I have a family member who's going to lend me money. And I'm like, well, that's great. But, and then, refinance out to a regular loan. It's important to know what the ARV, the after repair value, is going to be. So you have to do a little bit of research there. And again, it's not a science because I said it should appraise for 140 to 150. Somebody said 120. That was an appraiser. And that can screw up a deal for someone. Now, Mark has enough reserves that he could absorb that lower appraisal and have been fine. Some people don't. Some people are running redlining it all the time, which is bad. So just make sure you look at the end game, and sometimes you have to look at the end game and work your way backwards, which is what I do a lot. And I can help you. If somebody wants to talk to me about something like that, then get someone who can help you walk through that, because it's important. Because this way you're not wasting your time on a specific product. You said, oh, this doesn't make sense for me because it's only going to appraise for this. So I work my way backwards into the deal. It's not going to work out. Let me move on to the next one. It's really important to know where not to spend your time, because time is so valuable. Knowing what not to go after is more important than knowing what to go after, because you're not distracted by other deals. You're focused. All right, so this house here looks great, and it is a nice house in a great neighborhood, but you have to take a closer look. Just the pictures don't tell everything. So I just picked this one as an example. So be sure to utilize Google Maps. See where it's located, see what's behind it. Is there a nuclear plant right behind it, or literally a railroad station and lots of noise? Look at that stuff. Why is it important to see the map view? Is it next to industrial commercial areas? So on and so forth. What's next to it? So we'll go to the next tab and you'll see this one here. That's actually the backyard. It looks worse than it is, but if you look at this down here where my arrow is, that's the house. Then right in the backyard is a ton of road noise. You can see that's a 6-lane highway there. So that would affect the value. Maybe that house is worth 180 on the other side of the street. Maybe it's worth 165 on this side of the street. So these little fine details can make an impact. It might not seem large enough to think about, but every little bit matters. And that's one that I would throw into the equation of value. And I'd use that as a lower value. Now, this is another one that, like two houses. Let's say it's this one here. That's the high side of the street, because Pittsburgh is very hilly and mountainous. The other side of the street is the low side of the street, typically. The low side of the street, where you're level entry, you're walking right into the property, is going to be most likely worth more money. This particular house here, you have to consider, okay, what's the condition of this retaining wall? If this retaining wall is on its last lap and it's about ready to fall, like you see how bad this is here? That's literally just ready to collapse. That could be $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to fix that. So if you're not accounting for that repair at some point in your calculations, and let's say this property here cash flows quite well for 2 years, and then year 3, you have to replace this. year 3 would decimate your cash flow for the next 5 years or maybe next 10 years. So all these little things do play a part in, are you, like, I would completely pass on something like this. Unless I was getting this property at a ridiculously low amount, I'm just passing on it right away.
Well, I think that's the important part too you're touching on is make sure you're working with someone that is going to point out those type of things, right? So, they're going to walk the property for you and say, hey, there's this. So if you are going to proceed, then factor that into the price or offer that you're going to make, right? So I think that's I mean, yeah, you most likely you'd stay away from it, like, but unless like you're saying to it, unless I got it at this crazy ridiculous
Mhm.
price. But I think that's sometimes the struggle with people investing out of state or remotely. They're the person that they're working with is not giving them the full picture, possibly.
That's absolutely 100% true. But also, you have to remember, you have to take 100%, blame if you make a bad decision. That's it. So the more you educate yourself, the more you listen to live streams like this and podcasts and read, and then eventually start doing it, you better start learning, and you're going to learn the hard way. It's no matter how much learning you do, there's always going to be mistakes, and that's fine as long as you minimize those mistakes and they are palatable to your finances. Meaning, if you lose $5,000 on a deal, so what? I call that tuition, and that's make sure you're getting passing grades. And I mean, a passing grade when you're paying tuition is just learning from it. You're not making that same mistake next time. Does this property have a garage? What are the approximate lock dimensions? So, let's go back to this picture here. See, this retaining wall here looks really good. The steps look like in a really good shape. So, okay, cool. Now, when you're renting that out, like you as a person who's going to live there, do you want to climb up 20, 30, maybe 40 steps every day? So you have to take 6 bags of groceries up and down, so on and so forth, snow removal, yada, 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 right? It's going to be harder to rent. Therefore, you're going to rent it for less money. Now, maybe this property has a level yard and a nice garage in the back. So I wouldn't eliminate this property right off the bat, but you want to look in the backyard and see if there's a garage or a different layout. So here's a good example. One I bought about 7 years ago, and we had since sold it. This property here, here's what it looked like. There you go. There's a retaining wall. There's steps. Now these were all in pretty good shape. So I'm thinking, okay, it's a nice area, good resale. It'd be really nice if it had a garage, and it didn't look like it had a garage. Then I went on the county website, and lo and behold, and this was at a sheriff's sale, so you don't really get any information. You're just buying it blindly. On the county website, you can see this really odd shaped lot. The shape is an L, and it goes over to this alleyway here, and there was a garage. So you had this really nice house in a good up and coming area with a garage that transformed the value of this tremendously. And we purchased it, and we did well on that one. So again, this is just from research that you're doing. You can look for just thinking outside the box sometimes.
I think another thing too that out of state investors or people new to the market that they kind of maybe because they're coming from a different market. So when they see the basement or a lot of space there, they're always thinking, "Oh, I'm going to convert this to a livable space." Is that common in Pittsburgh? People using the basement as livable space, or you don't advise that possibly?
That's a super good question. I'll give you 2 really good examples of that right now. So I had a client call me, management client. She wanted to add a 3rd unit on the 3rd floor, which there's enough space there. So one, you have to get the city. You have to see if the city of Pittsburgh it's zoned a 3 unit. Is it zoned to 3? Is it zoned for 3 units? Probably not. But let's say it was. So to convert a 3rd floor, typically you need to have fire rated ceilings, inspections, maybe a fire rated fire escape. You might even have to have a sprinkler system because you're on the 3rd floor. just to get that stuff done, the basics, easily be $50,000. Then you got to get plumbing up there, flooring, paint, electrical, split the utilities, new kitchen, new bath. I mean, you're 100, 125, maybe $150,000. If you can get the approval from the city, it's not even financially feasible. You know, even if you could get the approval, it would make no financial sense to do that. So before you get like your hopes up, like, oh, I'm going to buy this and then I'm going to make another third unit out of it. It's not that easy here. They have so many regulatory things and so on and so forth. So before you get your hopes up, maybe that's icing on the cake. Maybe it'll happen, but base everything off of a duplex in that particular case. And then the other question you had asked about finishing a basement. I had one client, I said, you should not finish that basement. Don't finish it. And he didn't have a legal occupancy permit for 3 units either. And I told him that. I said, I wouldn't do it because you're rolling the dice. He didn't fucking listen to me. He finished the basement. And it's a sandstone foundation, old house. So it's very porous. It's always going to be damp and wet. Months after he finished it, it was infested with mold. Infested with mold. He would have had to rip everything out, redo it all. And on top of that, he didn't have an occupancy permit for 3 units. So if you're going to finish your basement, that's fine. Just make sure you take all the measures that it's dry, it's safe, so on and so forth. Number one. Number two, if you're going to finish it and make an extra unit, make sure you have the proper permits to do that. So this way you don't get in trouble. And then when you sell it, you could sell it as a legitimate 3 unit versus a 2 unit. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like I think that's sometimes what catches people off guard, right? They're comfortable with looking at things in their market, and they look at Pittsburgh and they say, "Oh yeah, there's this space that I can convert and increase value," and that's what kind of burns them.
Yeah. Well, it can't. I love the idea of adding value, of course, but just make sure it makes sense on the construction side, financial side, all that stuff.
On this point, real quick though, Harrison Trey Better 99 is asking Alex, is that just Allegheny County that is hard to work for additional units? Are the rest of the surrounding counties easier to work with?
I think most of them are difficult. It's not the county, it's every township. Like every little city within the county has their own little borough. They have their own rules. Some are difficult to work with. Ambridge is tough. Aliquippa is not easy. You know that, Mark. We've dealt with Aliquippa. They're not super difficult, but when you're doing major adding a unit and converting space that wasn't usable, you just have to be careful and make sure you do your due diligence before you execute the work. That's all I'm saying. Not impossible. It's just make sure you do your due diligence and base everything off of, hey, I may not get approved for those added items. So if I don't get approved, does it still make sense to purchase it? Yeah, then move forward with it. And then you can do your due diligence after the fact, or you do your due diligence before you even make the offer. The challenge there is if you're doing all this due diligence, and you're probably going to lose the property.
Harrison is saying, who has to be bought off?
I've never done that, but I'm sure it works. I've never done it. That's the honest truth. Here's another one. Okay, this property was an acre. It's like, oh my gosh, an acre in a great school district. It was, good property. Look at the acre. It's like it's a little pie strip.
Yeah.
And that was a very steep backyard. Almost none of it was usable. So if it says an acre, that's fine. Just again, do your due diligence. Go to the street view. Go to the Allegheny County website, which will show you the approximate measurements of the lot. And now you have a really good view of, oh, okay, it's really not an acre and it's really a hill. So I'm going to base my offer on those 2 points. And that's about, that's it for the slideshow. So any questions up to this point? Because then I'm going to jump on the MLS and we're just going to look at some stuff that's on the market right now. We can field questions. We can go through the pictures and have some fun doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what a lot of people are waiting for, hoping for, is get your kind of feel for how you look at properties and what's out there actually right now.
Okay. Well, we can do that. MLS.
Yasik, who was the AI guy at the Pittsburgh meetup, he
Yeah.
said, "Box of donuts with coffee, a nice compliment usually goes a long way."
It doesn't hurt to be nice. It doesn't hurt to be nice. That's for sure. Here it is. Okay, share. Did I do that right? There it is.
Yep.
Oh, it worked out good this time. Okay. Is that pretty clear? That's clear enough, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go to the MLS. So what I did was I pulled up MLS is the multiple listing service, which every agent and every company, 95% of all agents and all companies are part of the MLS. Like there's an MLS in every county in the world, I presume, but in North America for sure. So every agent has access to this. So I went to just Beaver County just to pick that county because it's not as populated. There's not as many to look at. And I went to see how many there are. So let's say click. This is what I'm doing when I'm looking. I'm saying active, contingent, under contract. And then I click on Beaver County, and then it pulls up how many there are. And the reason I pull up contingent and under contract is it just gives me an idea how hot the market is. So, for example, we pull up active and we pull up results. There are 33, if you look right here, 33 units. Not a lot. It's not a lot. Then I go back and say, okay, how many are under contract or contingent? This is the same thing. They're basically somebody's made an offer, it's been accepted but not closed yet. There are 14. So that means, I guess, what is that? That's 14 and 33 equals 47. So that'd be 14 divided by 47. 30% of the properties on the MLS are under contract in Beaver County right now. So that's a little light. I mean, I was expecting to see it 50% or even more. So what that tells me is maybe the market's a little bit soft right now. There's not a lot to look at right now. It's not the best time of year to be selling. Sometimes you do get some good deals in the winter months because you just get lucky and you find something that maybe went under contract and then it fell, the deal fell through, comes back on the market. You jump on it. The seller's like, I just want this thing to go away. Sometimes you find those deals. But people ask me this is when should I be looking? You should always be looking because there are good deals in the summer. There are good deals in the winter. There are good deals every day of the month. You just have to be looking. Now, sometimes you get lucky. Just always be looking. So right now there are 14 under contract. So we're going to go back to.
There's some people commenting. I guess a lot of people are interested in Butler. What are your thoughts as a buy and hold in that area?
I don't know Butler, to be honest with you. I don't think it's a bad area to invest in at all. I just can't comment. Let's take a look. Let's see how many are there. I'm going to venture to say there's less for sale in Butler. This is multifamily. This is only multi-units I'm looking at. Active, and we'll go to Butler County. All right, let's see. There are 27. So I was right. There are less. There were not many less, but 5 less, 6 less in Butler County. And I don't know these markets enough. Yeah, that's the problem. Yes, this is commercial. But we'll go back to Beaver because I know that market better.
Can you bring up this one? It's a 108. Shoots, I don't know. LAYLESHIR Road, Butler, PA. Can you see it in the
108? That's a mouthful. AYLESHIRE.
It's a single though. He said it's a
single family. Okay, so this was listed twice. It was listed once. See, I look at this was when it was listed before. 315,000. It's withdrawn. So I look at the history on it.
They're asking. I don't want to mess anything up, but
No,
Trisha's asking, can Alex make his screen larger? I don't know. I don't want to try and,
I would love to see if I could do that. Let's see.
oh, there, that worked.
Does that help?
Yeah, that worked.
Okay, good. So this one here was listed on 9/19 for 329. Then they dropped it to 315 on 10/22. It went under contract on 10/30. The deal fell through on 11/15, and that's typically a 15 to 20-day window. Typically means the home inspection went south. That's typically what it means. I don't know that for sure. So now we go to the current listing. So now they relisted it. Looks like probably the same agent. And they just relisted it on the 24th of November for 315. And it's been on the market since with no other offers accepted. So what are the questions on this one that somebody had?
Harrison, did you have any more specific questions? If you are still in the chat, throw it in there or text message me or something if there's more you
I don't
want.
know why an investor is looking at a $315,000 house in Butler unless they're thinking of living there. That doesn't make sense to me.
Could be. So maybe before he puts in another question, what about this? Looks like a multi-move. 700 S Main Street, Butler.
700 S Main. All right. So this one, you see it sold back in 2006 for 150,000. I just look at that because it's just an indicator for me. Say, oh, okay, it sold for 150,000 in 2006. And just knowing what I know in 2025, it's 19 years later, that thing should probably be worth at least double, right? But that's like a rule of thumb that you can't use on everything. It's just a rule of thumb. Holy crap. Okay. It's listed right now for 1.2 million. Okay. It's huge. This is a large multifamily. What does it say? How many? 15 units, gem in the heart of Butler. I don't know if there are any gems in the heart of Butler. I think Butler's a little rough. You know, it's not the best area. It's a gem. Okay, 1.2 million. Wow. Okay, so this was just listed on 12/1. The income is 87,000. The utility expenses are 12. Again, here's a good thing to remember. Don't ever trust what's on this MLS. I don't know how many times that, when you get the actual rent numbers and the actual utility expenses, a lot of times they're a lot higher. Usually the rent's inflated and usually the expenses are deflated. That's just human nature that the seller's going to try to make it look more appealing than that's just the way it is. So the NOI, which is the net operating income, if this is accurate, is 62,000. So based on that number alone, 1.2 million, 62,000 is not even going to work. 62,000 income is not even be close to working because that doesn't include your debt. And then you have 3 pictures. If it's such a gem, why do you have 3 lousy pictures?
Yeah.
I mean, have some pictures of this place. So anyway, is any other questions? Because I'll move on to something else.
Well, I mean, someone's asking if they need a bulletproof vest in Butler.
I don't know Butler that well. I would equate Butler to maybe Washington County, which is south of Pittsburgh. There's the town of Washington. It's similar. I would call Butler, not knowing it as well as I should, but I don't do any business up there. It's probably a good, solid C class area. There's probably some D areas in there. I don't know if I would rate it a B area at all. I think Jeremy, who's actually from Butler, I think he lives up there now. He would know that area way better than I do.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of Jeremy's hood, I guess, if you want to say it that way.
Yeah.
Mikey Buzztune is asking. I think this was just sold, but 37-39 Merritt Ave, Merritt.
That's in Carrick. M-E-R-I.
Uh, Merritt.
Okay, let me. Oh, I think I put it in wrong. That's why.
Yeah. He said Brentwood. Even though Brentwood would
Brentwood.
hire.
No, it's Carrick.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. It's a side by side, which is very appealing. I love side by sides. I don't like the fact there's a lot of steps, so I would definitely consider. All right, let's just a red flag, right? That's all. The next thing I do is go to see if there's any parking.
He does say there's a garage. He says this
Oh
sold,
yeah.
but liked it with a garage.
Oh shoot, this doesn't share. So what I do is I go to the street view, and I'm just looking here, but I'm not sharing it because it'd take too long to switch it over. It does look like there's a 3-car garage, so that's interesting, and that does make an impact on my decision. Would be like, oh, okay, it's got a garage, very nice. The rents, they're saying, oh, it's just a 2-unit, but they rent the garage out for $240 a month. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
As you can see from the picture, it's not a 3-unit. It's a side by side. So it's 2 units that are rented for essentially about $1,200 a side, more or less. So that's $2,400. On paper, that's pretty good. On paper, that's pretty good. Tenants pay separate water, gas, and electric. Landlord only pays for sewage and trash. And let's see and it's sold in 3 days. And that's not a terrible price for that property. That's why it sold so quick. A side by side with a garage. Carrick's a strong C, D plus area. And let's take a look at some of the pictures.
Yeah, that's what I kind of noticed. If anything makes sense on the MLS, like you're saying, you pretty much gotta be ready to
Right.
make an offer or go in at list price. Not I mean not at list, but fairly competitive if it makes sense.
It's hard to. How do you compete with that? Your agent has to get in there, and they have to get the videos to you. Then you have to go through them, make a decision, all in 3 days or less.
Yeah.
It's tough. Oh, let's see who. Let me get out of here. Curious to see who sold this. Okay. See, sometimes, like listing agent was Lisa Smigel. If she's the selling agent, it's even tougher because she probably had a pocket buyer, and that buyer probably had a day's notice before, and that's just to be expected. But in this case, that wasn't the case. This is a Nick Bova from Berkshire Hathaway. He had sold it, but just getting in there that quickly and making the offer is pretty hard to do. You're not going to get every deal. That's just a matter of fact. This was 175,000. It sold for 172 with some seller's assist of $1,000. So it really sold for 171. So sold for close to full price. It's not a terrible deal.
What about 1814 Davidson Street in Aliquippa?
1814 Davidson's a rough street. Davidson, I think I spelled that right. There it is. Yeah, this was one I was just looking at because I was previewing some of these before we got on the call. The numbers on this look pretty decent. 1,000 or 1,100, 800, and 300. 300 is probably a garage. All right, let's take a look at some of the pictures. And this one, sorry, I'm going up and down. This one came on the market on 10/15. Didn't sell. They reduced it to 169.9. It was listed for 179.9. So they just reduced it a couple weeks ago to 169.9. And looking at the pictures here. So you can see it's an up and down duplex here. It was probably an old converted house that was converted into a duplex at one point. I'm assuming the water and sewage is probably not I'm on a call. You have to make copies. You get to give that to me. Thanks, hon.
Can you see me on that?
Yes.
Who's that? Did they want to say hi?
That was my wife. She's dropping something off. I didn't put my sign on the door.
Oh, no.
So this is, an old converted house is fine. I own plenty of them myself. Ideally, you want to buy something that was built as a duplex or a 3-unit or 4-unit, but they're hard to find. So sometimes you have to buy something that's an older converted house. Typically, not always, but when they're converted like that, they don't have a separate water and sewage. It's usually one bill, which is fine. You just account for that in the rents. And the only downside I have not having water and sewage separated is, like on a 6-unit I own, I just got a bill of like $1,000, and that's because one of the tenants' showers was just leaking really bad. I'm like, what are you gonna do? I can't go back there and say, well, you owe me for this, because I don't know exactly how much water there was, and so on and so forth. So it is nice to have separate water and sewage, but that's not always a luxury that you have when you're looking. This doesn't look like a terrible property. It looks like pretty decent. It's got a garage, but that price in that area, that's too high, and that's why it's still for sale. Mark, I told you about the duplex in Ambridge. Smaller, much nicer than this, real tight, well maintained, good quality tenants. 130,000.
Hey, don't be bringing my stuff on the air, man.
That's the difference. There's a reason why that's still for sale, and it's the area, the price. And
I'm gonna have to edit that out after.
We will. I didn't. What did I say?
No, I'm just playing. I'm just
I
playing.
was just-
No, I'm just playing. But Trisha is asking, is this typical? I can't believe garages rent for $300. Is that?
They don't. That was it looked like a 3-car garage maybe on there. A typical 10-foot wide by 20-foot garage, anywhere from $85 to $200. It depends on where it's located, the area.
And then her next question is, are there garage apartments? I guess, do people convert garages into kind of units? Is that common in Pittsburgh?
I've seen it. I've never seen actually somebody in the process or recently done it, but I've seen many properties that have garage apartments above the garage. And as long as they're approved for it, that's wonderful. Or as long as you can get approved for it, like we talked about earlier, then that could be an advantage, a value add, so to speak.
Mikey, who works with you also, is asking, how much client emails do you go through a day?
A lot. A lot, yeah. I don't know the number, but I try to stay on top of it too. Very few go unanswered. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to share? Anything other listings you're looking through this morning that could interest people, maybe, or something stuck out to you?
We could go through. I was going to go back to.
Or you want to show my main one? You said where you had photos of that.
Mm-hmm. This is one that. No, we found this. This was on the market, right, Mark?
Yeah, I think it was listed originally at 290 something, maybe.
No, this is Aliquippa too. That one we just looked at was on Davidson. This is a nicer part of Aliquippa, and it's in a good section. It's just it's towards the main road. This is what helped by knowing the market really helpful. So maybe 2 blocks back from where this house is, it starts to get a little sketchy as you're closer to Broadhead Road, which is the main road, which is there's Dunkin' Donuts, there's shopping, there's grocery store, there's everything's right there, almost like walking distance from there. And it just gets nicer the closer you get to that road. So this one, let's see, it looks like he purchased it. This guy purchased it in 2015, paid $85,000. Okay. He paid cash. Comes with not only with home, but a second building with apartment on second floor and commercial space on first floor. Okay, so this guy bought it for 85. Now I know for a fact he went in and redid that rear unit. He did a nice job too. The commercial spot he made into an apartment, Mark, and you obviously know because you own it now. But this is what it looked like before. Pretty much the same on the outside. Now that's the main house. It looks completely different, and we'll show you the after pictures. I'm just curious if there's any. Yeah, that's still the house. That's the house. That I believe is the house. That is the basement, Mark. That's what that basement looked like. You see that?
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, it doesn't look like that now. We kind of eliminated that area because it was just, it just wasn't a good usable space in my opinion. That's more the basement. Now that's that commercial space. Now that was converted into a really nice apartment. He put some serious money into that. That is, oh, that was the commercial space that's now an apartment. That's the boiler system. That's the second floor apartment. Pretty much looks the same because the old guy that's been in there forever, he's still there now. I'm assuming
Yeah.
the tenant.
He's a nice old man.
Yeah, no, very good stable tenants. So the rear duplex has really good stable tenants in it. The front unit, I think we just rented for 1,100 or 1,200.
1,200.
Yeah, which is, it's a pretty good rent for that area. But this is a big, nice house, and we did a nice job on it. So he paid 85. That was 10 years ago. And then Mark, you just bought it for 240. There were some seller concessions. I don't remember what they were. Do you remember?
I forget, but I think it was originally listed around 290 was the start price, and then it came down, and then
it was 289.9.
Yeah.
Dropped it shortly after. This was in April. End of April, dropped it to 275. End of May, dropped it to 269. And that's when you put an offer on it. It was accepted, and we got it for 240.
Yep.
Okay, and then you had, I think you had to put about 30,000 into it. We went about 5,000 over budget, but that was because
The occupancy certificates came up with a little bit more stuff.
the
Yeah.
borough was like, oh, I want new electrical boxes. I want the sidewalk fixed, which it is what it is. But now you got all new electrical boxes in a couple of the units, and we fixed the curb on the sidewalk. But for 25 grand, we basically redid that front house. And now your rents, you see these rents were, he didn't have the rents on here. So do you remember what the rents were, Mark?
Starting was 570 and 695 for the duplex.
Way too low. Like they should probably be 8 and 8, somewhere around there. Now, did you raise the rents on them?
Yes. So the top unit increased his rents. The lower one, we just had to change some wordings that he wanted in the lease, the renewal, and so it just got sent out today.
So what are those new rents going to be?
So I didn't increase it too much, but that's the one I kept the appliance repairs and everything on their plate, right? So they're both going up 75 each.
Okay.
And
I
then
mean, you could have raised them much higher, but
yeah,
I'm in line with you on that. I give my new tenants options when I take over a building. I say, look, I'm going to raise your rent 150 and not do any repairs, or I'll raise it 250 and I'm going to put $4,000 of upgrades and so on and so forth. That's just an example. 99% of the time they pick the lower. They don't want the upgrades. They don't want the money come out of their pocket, but it gives them the option where, Mark, you're just going to incrementally raise the rent a little bit and hopefully keep them there.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then even the single family home side was under market just because of the time of year too, also. So just get someone in.
We rented that quick too. So
yeah,
I would say, yeah, a lot of it depends on the time of year, your budget. Let's say that second floor unit, which is going to need paint, carpet, probably some incidentals, probably $10,000. Is it worth kicking that guy out? It sits vacant for 3 or 4 months. You have to pay someone to rent it. You don't know what you're getting when you rent it. It's still a crapshoot. You have a good solid tenant there now. and you have to spend $10,000 to get it up to $800 market rent. Why don't we just increase his rent from $550 to $625? Keep him happy. Next year another 50. Next year another 50. Before you know it, in 4 years you'll have him close to market rent, and you never had to lose a month's rent. You never had to spend the $10,000 in rehabbing it. So it's just the way you think. There's no right or wrong answer, but
We do have, I mean, you didn't show any of the after photos, did you?
no, not
Yeah.
yet.
Well, yeah, just Harrison's asking, what is your favorite up and coming area?
I don't really have one. And I don't know what the next up and coming area is, because I get this asked all the time. And my standard answer is, if I knew that, I wouldn't be on this call with you. I would be investing all my money, but you just don't know. I always say that a good area and quality, good areas and quality never go out of style. So if you can buy in good areas and quality, there's always going to be value there. For example, this one here on Main Street, it's a strong C area. Some of the area is D, some of it's a C plus. This is a strong C area. I like this investment because it's a high quality. Everything's separated, all the utilities. It's all brick. It's just a good quality property that you can't go wrong with.
And like you mentioned too, right? There's also room for a garage at some point if I
Yeah.
wanted
Oh, yeah.
to.
We didn't talk about that. So this lot to the left it's a huge additional lot. No, it's part of the parcel, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
1D, but you can add parking, a garage. There's value add there in the future. For now, it wouldn't make sense to go through that, but in the future, it's definite. Maybe you could build another structure there. Maybe that's where you could add a garage and an apartment above it, like somebody had talked about, you know.
The Ranger looks like is asking, what do you think about east side of Pittsburgh, like Turtle Creek and Pitcairn?
Both of those areas are tough, so you just have to make sure you're buying in Turtle Creek, Pitcairn prices. You just have to make sure you're getting a good deal, because you're not going to get the highest quality tenants over there. We don't manage over there because it's literally just a little too far for us. Getting there is a bit of a struggle just because of traffic. So we don't manage much over there.
All right. Did you want to show some of the work that was like after photos or anything else on this one?
Yeah, this is obviously the before, which doesn't look too bad. Oh yeah, there's the extra lot. You can see it there.
And then I think you mentioned it, but we got rid of a lot of that.
The trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, I'll go to the actual. Let's exit out of here. Do that. Stop sharing. Let's go to the pictures. Window, share. There we go. All right. There it is. Okay. Wow, I took a ton of pictures on this. You can see that was the unit that was converted. If anybody was watching, that he did a really nice job. I mean, he put some money in it. I bet he put every bit of $40,000 into that unit. Just that one. But see, we got rid of this tree. We got rid of all these bushes. It's good to just get those gone, because the tenants aren't going to maintain those. Trust me. And they do nothing but cause problems with foundation, with getting into sewer lines, getting into the gutters with leaves and such. So if you can, and within your budget, get rid of them. And that's what we did. It looks so much nicer now. Let's see if we can look at any like after what it looks like with those gone. There we go. No, that's not it. Where are you? Here we go. That's all those bushes gone out of there. It's much nicer and cleaner that looks. Now the tenant's going to maintain the grass, and You don't have to worry about that. We left that tree there because these trees have shallow roots, so they're really normally not going to cause problems with sewer lines, and they're not going to cause problems with gutters. What they do cause problems is because they have shallow roots, is sometimes they can blow over. So make sure you have insurance on this, Mark.
Oh yeah. Well, we can cut it. I'll get someone to Jack, head out there, Jack.
Eventually we get rid of it.
Yeah, yeah.
The roof was in great shape. That's why we didn't do anything really with the roof. I had my roofer go over there. We extended some downspouts. You want to take care of the main mechanicals, like we talked about, the trees, the roots, making sure all the gutters are clean, making sure the downspouts are flowing away from the property, because that's protecting your investment. It's not going to really add any value, but it's going to protect your investment. And in the long run, it does save you money. We fix a lot of the gutters, downspouts. And we'll quickly go through this because we're probably running out of time here. But this is what the house looked like inside. The bathroom was pretty gross, but we were able to do this bathroom on a budget. Had carpet in it, these painted tiles and stuff. We brightened it up. You see how nasty that looks. I think we did a new vanity there, or we repaired that one. I think we did a new mirror and stuff, so we'll show you that. That's a video. We did a new tub surround. We did all new flooring. We did some paint because the second floor was actually painted, believe it or not. But we did all new flooring throughout the house. You see the room sizes were really nice. We were able to save a lot of the light fixtures. Maybe we put a new light fixture there. You'll see how the steps turned out too. They turned out really nice. We fixed some closet doors. Lots of painting. The cabinets, we completely sanded those down so they were a good surface, painted them white, cleaned them up. They look night and day now. Instead of replacing that whole kitchen, we did it for a fraction of the cost. We're able to keep the tile. I think we threw that thing out. That's no longer there. We cleaned the cabinets inside, fixed some of the cabinets. You can see a drawer was broken, but they were good solid wood cabinets, so they were repairable. And we replaced a lot of light switches, plugs. We had to replace some cracked tile in the bathroom. So I think we were able to find a tile that was relatively close matched, and we replaced the tile. Instead of doing a whole new floor, which is maybe $1,000, we fixed that floor so it looked really good, and it cost maybe $200. And all those little things make a difference. We had to do a light fixture there. This was a ADA accessible bathroom, but we made it didn't need much. We just cleaned it up. New light fixture, new switches. We'll go to the after pictures now. Let's exit out of here. Stop sharing. And this is the listing when it was on the market for rent. All right, this is that basement area. That really doesn't help, but it was just clean and neat. That's all we wanted. We wanted that basement to be clean, neat, and presentable. This is the dining room. You walk into the dining room, all new flooring, paint, new light fixture, new some new trim, quarter round, things like that. See how much cleaner it looks. And now that floor is durable. That's going to last 10, 20, 30 years. It's much more durable than carpet. And Mark spent a little extra money and we did it right. There's your living room. Looks like we put a new light fixture in there. This is that bathroom. We had a cracked tile. You see the difference in that tile versus this one? I don't know if you can see that. It's just a little darker. You can hardly tell.
Oh yeah.
That might have cost $200 versus $1,000. I mean, it just turned out really nice. Then there's those kitchen cabinets. I don't know if anybody was paying attention. The other ones were like nasty blue and gray. Fixed them all up. They look like new. And we did this on a budget because you have to be budget minded. See those carpeted steps. So instead of doing carpet, the guy had working over there, he did a nice job. He painted these, and then we put little carpet stair treads on the way up. So in the future, those are going to get worn. You pop some new treads on there or clean them, and then you paint. A lot less expensive than replacing carpet every time you do it. This was the closets in the entranceway. So we put new flooring, fixed the closet doors. This was that upstairs bathroom where, if you remember, it was just painted tile. It was carpet in the bathroom. We painted this vanity. So we were able to save that, paint it, looks fine. We put new light fixtures and a new mirror. It transformed that bathroom for a fraction of the cost. And over here, we put a shower surrounded, a tub surround. Able to save the tub. And I think we had to do new plumbing in there. Turned out good. And then we rented that in maybe a couple of weeks for $1,200, which is a pretty good price for over there, even this time of year. And this is the outside, how nice it turned out.
Yep.
All
So
right.
yeah. So, and then maybe next time you come on, we can show the one that cashed out, the BRRRR. I guess you could call it a small BRRRR that
Lakewood. Yeah.
hopefully I mean, we're just waiting for the final paperwork, but hopefully I don't want to jinx myself, but it should be wrapping up soon.
Mark didn't want to jinx himself, but it looks good. That's the one we talked about at the beginning, where only appraised for 120.
Yeah.
And then appraised for 160, which I think the real price is probably about right in the middle there.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, it worked out for the best. So fingers crossed we get.
So fingers crossed. I mean, if I did continue with the 120, I probably would have been out of pocket maybe $15K. So which I was fine with, $15K for a new renovated property basically. But with the 160 appraisal now, basically nothing out of pocket, right? So that's ideal. But
yeah, that's a win. That's a win. So Mark bought a property he used my money, so I lent him the money. He had to come up with some for the rehab because I financed most of it. And at the end of the day, you get all your money back. That's a beautiful thing. If you can do that 2 or 3 times a year, you're using none of your money.
Steven also says, thank you, Alex, for helping me with the plumbing leak. Had Greg come out and fix it instead of a plumber.
Oh, well, wonderful. Well, you're welcome.
Accidental Landlord will wrap it up with this, and he is asking cash flow post rehab. What does cash on cash return look like? So my cash on cash is I would probably say it's around 11% now, but that's also because my rents are a lot under market because I don't want to really move those 2 tenants, and also because it's the time of year the single family home is rented below market also. But yeah, I mean, happy with how it turned out, and like I said, the Lakewood one is a win, and we'll see what the next project is in the works for us. But yeah, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, Alex will also be in Vegas for the One Rental at a Time event in February. Jeremy and Liam will also be attending, and possibly Ian Hoover will be joining us, I believe. But if you want to know more about the Pittsburgh market, reach out to them. You can always message me. I'll get you Alex's contact information. And like he said, he tries to get through all his emails, right? I know he gets quite a bit. A lot of people a lot of people in the community are reaching out to him. They want to just know more because they're not finding things in their area that works, right? They're not finding stuff in their market. So Alex, thanks for being very resourceful and helpful for a lot of our community. And like I said, anyone want to connect with him, reach out to me and I'll get you in contact with Alex. But enjoy the treats that me and Mikey sent you. Please share, because everyone said you haven't shared any yet. But but all right, we'll get you back on in a few. Hopefully we'll be I'm sure we'll be closed with Lakewood by then, and then we can maybe talk about that other project that we have too.
Well, happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.
You too, man. All right, stay warm. All right, Alex.